Gabriela, Lizyvette, for, of course, doing this session in English, what you're going to do, and the one in Spanish that you're going to do. So thank you very much. And what I will do is I'll first ask you people to just tell us about yourself, then give me 1 minute to just talk about that, where they find information and what's coming up. And then we'll go into philosophy and mediation. So Gabriela, please tell us about yourself.
Hey, hi, Vikram. Nice to see you again. I'm gonna do my best effort to speak in English, so let's try it. As you know, I'm a mediator here in Ecuador, and I actually feel so grateful to be here. I told you before in the other session that I had the opportunity to be, that you always talk about some different topics in mediation that we actually don't talk a lot. So you come across with the philosophy and mediation, and I think it's a great topic to talk about. So thank you for that. And let's talk about it.
No, thank you very much. Your last session, that excellent presentation, the preparation that you did was really nice. So I know both of you would have done something very interesting here. So Lizyvette, please tell us about yourself, and then let's move into the topic.
Good morning. My name is Lizyvette Ramos. I live in Tampa, Florida, in the US. I'm originally from Venezuela. I'm a certified family mediator. Right now, I'm completing a PhD in conflict analysis and resolution. So you can tell I'm passionate about this field. I'm happy to be here and happy to learn from everyone, especially because Vikram is connecting mediators from all over the world. And I just love that. I just love to get different perspectives from everyone, whatever the topic. I just love all those different views that everyone has to offer. So thank you so much for inviting us to participate in this symposium, Vikram.
Thank you very much for being part of it. Now you'll just give me maybe 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute. Let's see how much it goes, just to put it all out there. I like to do this. No one listens to me, no one sees my posts, but I still have to keep doing it. Okay, so this is mediatorvikram.com. So you have the information there. So this is what the lineup, I say the star cast of this symposium is. So we are getting views from people around the world. And I still feel that because the topic was such, how do you connect philosophy to mediation and all that? So I think there were a lot of people. I'm sure they would have wanted to participate, but I think they felt that let's just go with what's happening. Let's listen to what's happening. And I'm sure next year we'll get lots more participation on this, but it's been interesting up till now. And of course, there you can, ways to connect are there, and support, always ask for support. Nothing much comes out of it, but I keep asking for it. World Mediation Circle, definitely you people have to work on this. And of course, we have to have that Ecuador Mediation Circle, the US Mediation Circle, in that the Florida Mediation Circle, in that the Tampa Mediation Circle, all that. This circles within circles within circles kind of concept. I don't know if you people ever got time to read what I do or on this circle, what my thought process is, but we'll have separate meetings on this, on the World Mediation Circle as we go along. These events, but the only thing is these events keep coming. Neutrality and mediation was not really planned. It just came out, let's just do this, because the International Day of Neutrality is on the 12th of December. And so let's just do it. Otherwise, I had actually thought, let's concentrate on the World Mediation Circle and Mediation Circle. So that's the basic idea of the shows and events is available here. The links are available. There are more than 450 videos. So I don't know how people will find information. Easiest is to go to the YouTube channel, search Mediator Vikram, and just find whatever topic. So I won't take more of your time. Of course, the neutrality and mediation, which is coming up on 12th of December, it's going to be interesting because obviously Bernie has done a lot of work over the years and spoken about neutrality, and so that's going to be interesting. Ken Cloke is always a pleasure listening to him. So, and what Desmond Tutu has said makes a lot of sense to both of you. I don't know. I'm sure it does, but it makes a lot of sense. Do I need to read it out? Let me do it. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. So that's like think of it as the theme or the background to the symposium. So that is about it. So please, it's your show. I am not mute, but I am a spectator.
No, Liz, you want to start, or I can do it? No, whatever you want.
Either way is fine with me.
Okay, so I can start. Let's do it. Let's try
Go
it.
ahead.
So I told you actually, Vikram, like Liz contact me and say, Gabby, please talk about the philosophy and mediation. And I say, okay, let me read about, because I don't know actually if I can find a bond between mediation and philosophy. And actually I start reading and say, okay, Liz, let's do it. Because I realize that has a lot in common between philosophy and mediation and what I do the whole days in my life, that is helping people to solve their problems. Different in another countries, here in Ecuador, we have mediation process each day. I handle around 2 mediation process each day in all days of the week, of the month, and the year. So we will handle with conflicts many cases. So this is really interesting for me because I start reading some philosopher. Actually, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not even close to being like them. But as I told you, I find these interesting like quotes or phrases that I want to share with you. And I want to let you know how I can, or people, or as mediators, can apply these phrases to our work. Okay, so I'm gonna share the screen. I have a small PowerPoint.
But I will not interrupt you otherwise, but let me just say, by the end of this session or at the end of this symposium, Gabriela, if you say, yes, I am a philosopher, then the symposium has been successful, because you are.
Well, I don't know if I will be a philosopher, but I think we can apply most of their thinkings in our life and in our work. So that for me is really interesting.
So like I said, first you thought philosophy and mediation, what is the connection? Then philosopher and mediator, what is the connection? At the end of the symposium, you're going to say mediators are philosophers. That's what.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree with that actually. So let's start with the first one. I read some quotes from Aristotle, and I grabbed two that I want to explain. The first one is the one that you can read right now. That's talk about man is by nature a social animal. So that's mean for me the beginning of everything in life. You know, people have to be in society. They have to relate to each other's, and when the people start in the coexistence in society, the conflicts burn and appear. Why? Because people have different needs, different perceptions, different achievements. So that's make the conflict burn. Okay, and that's what mediators do. We help people. We help people that solve their problems using different strategies or techniques. Okay, so that's the reason for me what mediation do with the people that live in society that have different issues, conflicts, and the really mean of what we do. Okay, second one, anybody can become angry, that easy, but not to be angry with the right person and in the right degree and in the right time for the right purpose and in the right way. So I love this phrase because you see, when the parties arrive to the mediation process, sometimes they came with this escalate of the conflict and they don't know how to behave. And in the first session, when you give the words to them, they start speaking like crazy and with this amount of emotions inside them, like angry, like sadness, frustrations. And after you listen to them, they say, oh, sorry, I didn't want to say that, but I needed to say it. You know, so it's people have to learn how to express their feelings, their needs in the correct way. But that is so hard to do it because the problem, as you know, well, the conflict, as you know, have two different point of views. The one is the logical issue, that is the problem. And the other one that is really important is the emotions that people have. And people doesn't know how to handle the emotion. That make the conflict arise in a mediation process. And mediators have to know how to handle these emotions with empathy, with assertiveness, and look and help them to get to a partner. So for me, this phrase has to be a lot of the nature of the human being and the emotion. We also, I think people is not too always logical. They're in agreement. They are not only look for a deal. They actually look for emotions have to be in deal. I don't know if you can understand me, Vikram and Lizyvette. I'm okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, perfect. I have another phrase that say, I cannot teach anybody anything. I can make them think. I love this phrase too, Socrates. Why? Because let's talk about again how philosophy have the bond with mediation. When parties are in the mediation process and you have this responsibility as mediator, not to judge them, not to say, okay, you are good, you are bad, you are correct, and you are incorrect, even though you have the responsibility to create empathy with the parties and let them to see what the conflict is about, why the conflict arises, and can be just one reality with two different perspectives, but you have to empathy with the other party to find a solution. But mostly, the people doesn't see that. And it's so nice because when the people arise to a mediation process, they say, for your fault, Vikram, I'm here because you didn't pay me the monthly that I need to pay my house. So now I'm in a trouble. So I tried them to think in the other party and say, okay, let's put in Vikram feet. Why Vikram couldn't pay the monthly or the payment that you were expecting for? Let's think in Vikram for a moment. And they start like realize in their mind, they say, okay, I didn't know what he do that, but let's listen to him, what he has to tell me. So I tried them to think about the other part in the mediation process, not give them a lesson or tell them what they have to do, but empathy with the other person in the mediation process. How? We have different techniques: empathy, assertiveness, reflection questions, opening questions that you can search for the result that we are trying to do in mediation process. And last but not least important, Hegel. As you know, Hegel is a philosopher, German philosopher. Actually, I have a friend that he's from United States, but he's a mediator and he works in Qatar. And he's a professor in the University of Qatar. And he's really expert with theology, religion, and philosophy and all the stuff. And I was telling him that I have to give a speech of mediation and philosophy. And I say, I'm going to find a bond between Hegel and mediation. And he told me, how are you going to do that, Gabi? I'm like, okay, I'm going to read and I'm going to find a reason. And how do you say, like, aporte? How do you say aporte, Liz?
It is basically like sharing something, then giving something.
Giving something to Hegel that have given something to mediation. So I found, the dialectic, yeah? The truth is found neither in thesis, nor the antithesis, but in the emergent synthesis, which reconciles the two. So Hegel talks about dialectics. Yeah, what dialectics actually means is then, in simple words that I try to explain, it's the communicational method composed by contradictory arguments that look for a logical conclusion, okay? So for example, if I had a sweet candy, I get a candy, okay? And say, it's really sweet, I like it. But instead, I get a sour candy. So I realize the sweet exists because I tried the sour candy. So that's what happened in contradictions in life and with the argument and some positions of the human beings with the reality. And also, that is what we have in mediation process. For example, I have this picture, maybe you have seen before. If you see this picture, you can see a white base, yeah? And many other people can see the silhouette of the two faces. What is the conclusion that we can get from this image? That there are two realities in the world, yeah, and the opposite of these two reality give me a conclusion for something. So many people see the white base and, and the others say the black silhouette of the faces in this image. So that's really what happened with the arguments, contradictory arguments in the mediation process. They arrive to a mediation process, they have their own perspective on their own reality. And I said before, it's so interesting because they don't want to lose their power in the mediation process because they think they have the reason why they are there. But when you make them with this contradictory argument, look for a logical conclusion that create a new dialogue between parties, I think the mediator is doing a good work. That's the reason to be a mediator among other things. For example, and actually Hegel's talk about the thesis, the antithesis, and the synthesis. And we can apply that to mediation as Hegel ideas of philosophy. Yes, we can apply. And I have another example I want to share to you. I don't know if you've been here about the orange theory before. It's really interesting because what say the orange theory before? They say it's just an orange in a room and you have two positions, two persons, yeah? And the two persons want the same orange, but it's just one orange. So they start fighting how we gonna split the orange and say, okay, I don't want the half of the orange, I want the whole orange. So if you go farther to the position and look for the real interest, you can find that both parties of both people can have the orange because the one want the orange to make a juice and the other want the orange to peel the cover of the orange and make for a cake. So where's the conflict? Where's the conflict between parties? There are not conflict between parties. There are positions and the interest is hiding in the positions. So if we apply this example to Hegel's dialectics, how can we do it? Okay, the thesis is that both want the orange. The antithesis is that they don't want to split the orange. but the logical conclusion is going underlined and try to seek an agreement for the parties. That is, they can use the orange juice and solve the ground problem and the achievement of the one of the parties, and the other one the peel for doing a cake. So that's so interesting. What also we can apply Hegel's dialectics of argument in a mediation process. So I don't know if I'm being really passionate what I'm trying to explain to you, but thank you, Vikram, once again, because you make me realize that we are philosophers. We love and there is a view, and I just took like 4 philosophers and I make a connection with mediation, but I guess if I had more time to read Platon or somebody else, maybe we can still find ways to connect mediation to philosophy. Mediation, communication, no, philosophy, communication world, and mediation, they have to be together. And we have this duty to help people in the mediation process to create these dialogues, working for a culture of peace. So that's me interview from here, Vikram and Liz. So I'll leave you, Liz, with your part right now.
Yes, but the only thing, Gabriela, is that by next year you should have everything in place. Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, everyone will have one good presentation, because Gabriela is really hardworking and she really takes it very seriously. So I know next year we're going to have a very, very interesting presentation. So thank you, Gabby. It was really nice. And of course, Lizyvette, please.
Thank you, Gabby. Just by listening to you, I'm already becoming a philosopher. Love the presentation, those points of view. Amazing. Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen with you as well. All right, let me start from the right there at the beginning. So the philosophy and mediation, like Gabriela at first, like, okay, what are we talking about here? What is this exactly about? So the philosophy and mediation is of great interest in the alternative dispute resolution field. The philosophy of mediation involves the identification of solid principles practiced during mediation that maybe we don't think about them while going through them, but they are there, which may involve values. It may also involve needs. It is important to emphasize what can lead to a constructive dialogue, what Gabby was just talking about, which is the solid bricks at the foundation of improving the relations between fellow human beings. The philosophy of mediation is the study of the basic ideas and the fundamental nature of knowledge, truth, and meanings. So these are guiding principles for behavior that can be helpful in shifting attitudes. That's what we are working with, shifting attitudes here. So in order to get truths and to get meanings, it is important to not only listen, but listen from the heart. And that's what I'm going to be covering in this presentation today.
But Lizyvette, you want to do the slideshow?
Yes.
Put into slideshow mode, it'll be a little easier.
There we go.
Yeah.
So listening from the heart. The way people interact during mediation processes can make actually a difference in whether conflicts get solved or not. There is so much that can be hidden beneath the surface that unless it is properly approached, it will not be revealed. People can experience a wide range of emotions, feelings, which of course during a conflict are mostly negative, at least at first. Individuals may feel they are taking a risk when exposing their feelings and showing their vulnerabilities. Therefore, it is crucial for the mediator to encourage the conflicted parties to practice listening from the heart, which involves a lot more than hearing what is said by the other person. By listening from the heart, there is more potential for learning about the fundamental nature of the conflict. The behavior of the conflicted parties can be influenced by following the principle of listening from the heart. Also, listening from the heart entails the understanding of essential truths. Indeed, the conflicted parties' problem-solving capacities can be enhanced by listening from the heart. It can lead to learning about values and about meanings. It is crucial for the practice of listening from the heart to be respectful and to be empathetic. Now, what do we mean by listening from the heart? Kenneth Cloke, as you all know him, he describes the meaning of listening from the heart. He begins by clarifying that listening from the heart does not mean literally and physically listening from our heart organ. It means concentrating our energy on compassionately, genuinely, and honestly listening to what others have to say to discover deep truths. Additionally, listening from the heart entails a willingness to comfortably open our hearts and taking risks and showing vulnerability. When listening from the heart, it is essential to avoid listening with biases. That's something we always have to be aware of. The art of listening. Listening is an art where human expression and creativity can take place. In mediation, listening serves as a unique and powerful platform for meanings to emerge. Moreover, conflicting information can be shifted with the practice of active listening. Authenticity, flexibility, and openness are crucial for ideas to flow and be validated during mediations. So when people truly listen to each other, they are taking risks, and at the same time, they are connecting. Listening accurately can be helpful for soothing tensions as well. The art of listening entails really caring and avoiding assumptions and judgments. So let's talk a little bit about reflective listening, which is also involved in listening from the heart. Katz and McNally explain what reflective listening entails, which involves going beyond listening. They indicate that reflective listening encompasses the understanding of not only content, but also emotions and feelings. Furthermore, they specify that intense listening can lead to deeper levels of communication that allow grasping the essence of what is actually being discussed. They also mention the importance of paying respectful attention to shared voices and essential feelings expressed. They point out different benefits of practicing reflective listening, such as handling resistance, showing caring, capturing meanings and perceptions, accurately getting in touch with someone else's experiences, and bringing hidden feelings to the surface. They also make reference to what is critical to avoid when engaging in reflective listening, such as making negative evaluations, criticizing, judging, blaming, diagnosing, threatening, ordering, moralizing, negative questionings, and negative advices. So it's important to avoid all those. According to Katz, listening with overall perceptiveness encompasses listening through all our senses. Therefore, it involves putting all perceptual dimensions into practice. So that's not easy, but we really need to be conscious about it and be aware about our senses when working through mediations. Reflective listening involves paying careful attention to gestures, body posture, and even the tone of voice. All those can actually make a difference. It involves making the other person aware that they were understood. One of the main goals of reflective listening involves accurately perceiving the other person's feelings and experiences. In other words, it is about grasping the essence of the meaning of what is being portrayed. Reflective listening is about profoundly and honestly discovering the other person's thoughts. The practice of reflective listening can make the other person feel supported and cared for, and that's what we're looking for. Likewise, it can lead to a deeper understanding that can convey deep human attachment and enhance growth. Now, let's talk a little bit about double listening. Winslade explains the concept of double listening, which involves active listening, acknowledging, reflecting, and paraphrasing with the purpose of revealing unspoken meanings. He talks about double listening because it entails engaging in two stories. The first story refers to the conflict story, which implies what is wrong and what the individuals involved are unhappy about. On the other hand, the second story refers to a counter story, which is a story about hope, talking about the issues, and about what the individuals involved would prefer to happen. Then Winslade highlights the importance of double listening, as it can give more clarity to complex issues. Double listening can be beneficial for moving on when people are stuck in a conflict. Now, mindful listening. All of these are part of listening from the heart. It is essential for mediators to practice highly effective communication skills. Mediators have the potential to encourage reflective and mindful listening, which can lead to exploring what caused the conflict. When conflicted parties practice mindful listening, opportunities are created to move beyond positions and toward mutual understanding. De Gracia explains mindful listening, which involves wholehearted and attentive listening to establish compassionate human connections. Also, mindful listening entails listening while concentrating on the moment. One predominant advantage of listening with our hearts involves the opportunity to move from a reactive state to a receptive one. This can be attained by satisfying the commonly unmet need to be heard. That is a great need that many people still ignore. So we need to really work on that. Intentional and engaged listening. According to Georgia Kopoulos, it is beneficial for mediators to recognize their own biases in order to be more reflexive, more intentional, and better engaged in the process. Likewise, there is an imminent need for the conflicted parties to also become aware of their biases As this can happen, this can actually impact their responses. Awareness of biases can create opportunities for more dialogue and more collaboration. Additionally, mediators can improve communication interactions by engaging in reflexivity and being mindful of their conscious and unconscious biases. Indeed, when mediators recognize their biases and their mindsets, they can contribute to more intentional processes by taking determined measures to avert them from encroaching on the mediation process. Setting aside biases and prejudices can increase opportunities for connectedness, which is one of our main goals in this field. Dynamic listening. This side piece, he discusses dynamic listening as an opportunity to discover feelings and intimacy. This is critical for adapting to current experiences and intensifying dialogue. Dynamic listening involves deeply hearing truths revealed from within. It is important to keep in mind that listening dynamically is a psychophysical experience that brings vulnerability. It involves grounding sensations and perceptions, as well as putting intuition into practice to capture those meanings that we're looking for. Now, listening for truths. One of the main purposes of listening from our hearts is to reach and capture the meaning of hidden truths. In conflict resolution processes, it is critical to express and recover those truths. Recovering the truth is not an easy battle. However, it can open spaces for understanding and for empathy. Regardless of how distressing, shocking, or atrocious truths seem to be, they must be respected because the dignity of those affected is at play. Furthermore, prioritizing the recovery of the truth is a way to demonstrate sensibility towards the others. According to Savage, deep questions need to be answered to attain social harmony restoration. Indeed, listening to specific perspectives on what happened can lead to the restoration of civil and human dignity. Also, Savage maintains that it is important to keep in mind that stories expressed do not represent necessarily legal arguments. However, they are the path to learning about the other person's needs. Savage also explains that there can be different types of truth. He mentions that intimate stories and details of experience, distress, and suffering may be provided through personal or narrative truth. Another type of truth refers to social truth, which involves the engagement and interactions of those involved to share their stories or answer questions. Savage makes clear that the participation of communities in narrative sharing can lead to social truth. So now we can conclude from listening from the heart that it opens the path for deep conflict transformation, which is crucial for peace building and peacemaking. Also, learning about someone else's truth can be highly beneficial for understanding the other person's perspectives and their experiences. This does not mean agreeing with the other person's views. This means just being willing to allow the other person the opportunity to be deeply listened to. This means allowing ideas and feelings to flow. This means connecting. This means respecting different points of view. This means being conscious about avoiding judgment, assumptions, and biases from interfering with the conflict resolution process. Consequently, a successful mediation, which is not necessarily a mediation where an agreement is signed, it can be a mediation where meaningful understanding takes place, can be reached by listening from the heart, which entails the practice of the art of listening in reflective, double, mindful, and dynamic ways in the search for truths to be revealed. Then, why is it important to listen from the heart? Because as stated by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, it is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. So this is my presentation. I think we really need to care and respect what others have to say. And as mediators, we have not only the potential, but also the responsibility to try to get those conflicted parties more engaged in the conflict resolution process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was really nice, Lizyvette. The only thing what you've done is you've said listening from the heart, of course, listening to the heart. But what about the soul, Lizyvette? You know that whenever the heart will come, the soul will also come. So what about listening to the soul and listening from the soul? I don't know, but listening to the soul.
Yes, it is all related. When we listen from the heart, we follow our intuition as well, because so many times we just concentrate on our mind, on trying to make decisions on what we just think, or that it seems to be logic, but necessarily it is not. So like you are saying, Vikram, when we listen to our soul, we follow our intuition, and many times that makes more sense than trying to make logic of our thoughts. So it's really important. We really need to pay attention to our soul as well.
Yeah, because I think when you can reach that core and all those layers are gone, and that's when you actually are listening to something which is so important, and which maybe in relation to disputes, maybe goes to the heart of it, all those things. So that's interesting. But what now only thing now is, because of course we have some time now, where are we on this aspect? Yes, Gabriela, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was saying something. I loved your talk, Liz. I think you are talking on the way of transformative mediators. Yeah, and it's so interesting because not many people agree with this kind of mediator, because most are evaluative mediators or facilitator mediators. But actually, I agree. And actually, I feel so happy when a mediation process ended with two parts. The first, actually solve the problems. And the second one, when the parties give the hands, show and smile from their faces. And I say, well, that is our job. Try to recover the relation between the parties and work in the actively listen with the heart, understand to the other party. But that's not easy to work on it. And it's not easy to find, because some people in the mediation process, they say, okay, I don't care about the relationship. I care just for search for a partner. And a partner for me is how you're gonna pay me the debt that you earned to me. So I'm agree with you. I like the point of view of transformative mediator. So thank you for the speech.
Yes, of course. And that's so true. I mean, it depends on the conflict as well and the type of relationship. Sometimes just practicing a problem solving where no one pays attention to their emotions or their feelings. It may work out in some cases, but mostly we see that many of the problems and the conflicts that arise are because of lack of communication, lack of understanding, because we don't want to get deeper into feelings and emotions. That most of the time, that's what people need. They just need to be heard. They need to be listened to.
Yeah, and people forgot that behind the problem and the conflicts, we are human beings. And human being has emotions that need to be solved. It's not like the cost of the conflict is not just about money. It's about the feelings, the emotions, the relationship between the parties. So I'm agree with you.
So that is why this comes up, Gabby. This whole concept of the World Mediation Circle. I don't know whether, like I said, no one goes out, reads what is written there. But the whole idea is this. This is where the idea of behind this circle is. So please have a look at it. I'm not reading it out. So that
is perfect. Yes.
And that is the mediation for me. That's mediation. Everything else, I mean, yes, you can call anything mediation, but I think we have to go a little deeper and put this out there that there is lots more which is happening here. So that's the way we are going to take it forward. And that's where the mediation circles will have something special happening there. So definitely, but now where is the comparison between philosopher and mediator? Is it coming out? Lizyvette, have you found a connection there between philosophy and mediation, philosopher and mediation? Anything on that part?
There is a total connection. Of course, we don't realize it. We're not aware. But the more we dig into the meaning of philosophy and mediation, we see the commonalities. They go together. Like Gabby was saying, like in everyday mediation is there. We just don't realize it. But so we appreciate this symposium because like everything comes to light. We're just like, oh yeah, that's true. It's right there. We just don't see it.
Absolutely. So they're perfect. So that means we're on the right track. Only thing is, as we go along, we'll have to maybe refine this and take this discussion even further. So definitely. But now tell me, I mean, in relation to other sessions, have you managed to see any of the other sessions? Anything that any of you have seen any of the other sessions or not of the symposium?
Not for the symposium.
Sorry, Rika.
But I will.
I have more time in my life. I promise, but I don't.
Okay, no, that's
well, actually, I thought I watched one. I thought it was Ken Cloke, the first one, that actually he was telling about the importance of the matter of mediation and philosophy. I thought I watched just one.
Good. Look at the Gabby. This is going to happen on the 30th of November. She's already seen it. This Ken Cloke is coming on the 30th of November.
For the closure.
I know which one I tried to watch, the Danny Weinstein. And I saw a part of one of those.
I tell you, with Danny Weinstein also, the discussion on, he says, look, this deeper aspect of philosophy and mediation and all, I'm not such a deep this thing. My autobiography is going to be called, or is being, I don't know if he's putting it in place, is deep down, I'm shallow. But not realizing that all those things that whatever his experience is, if he puts it out in words, it will be philosophy. It's just that it is the practical part of it. You're experiencing it, and you don't connect it with the theory part of it. Oh, philosophy is some theoretical aspect. But that's why I've been saying through this symposium, and good, you both of you haven't seen any of the sessions, I've been taking it forward in this way that mediation is philosophy in practice, and mediators are philosophers in practice. So we're developing it. Look, the idea was to put it out there. So Andrea's definition, which she got from the American Philosophical Institute, I kept putting it up in every session. And because both of you have not seen any of the sessions, so let me put it out again out here, so that at least this was like kind of the base for me to take this forward. So let's just read it. I won't read it aloud, but whenever you're reading philosophy there, replace it with mediation and tell me, does it fit in? Or maybe Gabby can read it aloud. Gabby, read.
I can do it. I can do it if you want. Philosophy
yeah,
is.
But no, without read it as mediation. Whenever philosophy comes, read it as mediation. Say mediation is quite like any other field. Let's take it like that. Yes, Gabby, please. Want to read it out?
Okay, I will do it. Philosophy is quite unlike any other field. It's unique both in the method and in the nature and breadth of its subject matter. Philosophy pursued question in every dimension of human life. I like that one. And its techniques apply to problem in any field of study or endeavor. No brief definition expresses the richness or variety of philosophy. It may be described in many ways. It's a recent pursuit, the fundamental truth. That's good. A quest for understanding, a study of principle of conduct. It seeks to establish a standard of evidence, to provide rational method to resolve a conflict, and to create techniques for evaluate ideas and arguments. Philosophy develops the capacity to see the world from the perspective of other individuals and other cultures. It engages one's ability to perceive the relationship among the varying fields studied, and it depends one's sense of meaning and variety of human experience. I love it.
Okay. What Lizyvette is going to do now, she's going to read the same thing. Lizyvette, please don't read philosophy, read it as mediation. Just you say it, then let's see how Gabriela reacts to it. Yes, Lizyvette, please.
Same paragraph, just as mediation.
Yeah.
Mediation is quite unlike any other field. It is unique both in its methods and in the nature and breadth of its subject matter. Mediation pursues questions in every dimension of human life, and its techniques apply to problems in any field of study or endeavor. No brief definition expresses the richness and variety of mediation. It may be described in many ways. It is a recent pursuit of fundamental truths, a quest for understanding, the study of principles of conduct. It seeks to establish standards of evidence, to provide rational methods of resolving conflicts, and to create techniques for evaluating ideas and arguments. Mediation develops the capacity to see the world from the perspective of other individuals and other cultures. It enhances one's ability to perceive the relationships among the various fields of study, and it deepens one's sense of the meaning and variety of human experiences. So yes, it is exactly the
same. You have to share us the article.
No, Gabriela, you have to go to the session and watch it there every time.
Okay, I will.
Okay, this is where you'll find it here. APA online. This is the American Philosophical Association. But anyway, I'll put it there. I'll put it out somewhere. I'll put it maybe, I'll put it in the chat here. But the idea being, this is where like I said, I mean, I had no idea where this symposium is going to go. But when she brought this out, that's when connecting philosophy with mediation came in. And then connecting philosophers and mediators and the work that we do. So we're developing on this because like last session, every session I've been saying this, that people have to understand and value mediators because there is a lot more happening than they even think. And the concept of philosophers, people understand that, oh, philosophers, and they look at them. But don't get mediators in the same way. They don't even understand what's happening here. Just sitting with two people and talking. What are they really doing? But there is so much happening here. So that's why we need to connect the two. So that's what I found this was a great thing. So what we're going to do now, Any concluding remarks, both of you? Then we have to go to the Spanish session. So please.
That would be awesome for me.
So any concluding, closing remarks? Gabby, anything you want to say?
No, actually, as I told you before, and thank you for come across with this topic, Vikram. And I realized that you just said we have a stretch bump mediators with philosophy. That's my conclusion. And thanks for make me think about it, because I never realized before.
And what connects to that, which is something that I keep saying, I criticizing the 40-hour factories. Now we will understand that philosophers are not made in 40 hours. Mediators are also not made in 40 hours. It takes so much to be a philosopher. It takes as much to be a mediator, which could be a lot of aspects, value systems, experiences, the way you perceive the world, all those things, how you are thinking about things, all that. So lots happen there. So Lizyvette, any closing, concluding remarks?
In the end, is the same core principles. So it is amazing how philosophy and mediation are about getting the truths and meanings of any experiences. So it's just beautiful to get that perspective. So thank you. That opens our eyes on how we see and how we work.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you very much. I'll cut this session. Let's